Hi, welcome to the third episode of Hypnosis in 9 minutes. And in this episode, we want to discuss about primitive selves and hypnotic age regression. And the reason I'm interested in child development again is my beautiful 3-month-old baby. Her name is Yekta. And I start the conversation with this question. Why toddlers refer to themselves as third person? This may concern some parents when they see their 2-year-old baby refer to himself or herself as a third person. It's like John wants to go outside or Mary is hungry. Maybe the answer is in different kinds of memory. We have two separate kinds of memory. One is short-term memory or working memory, and the other one is long-term memory. And long-term memory has two different kinds, implicit memory and explicit memory. Implicit memory is more like a procedural memory, like how to drive a car, how to ride a bicycle, how to swim. When you swim, you don't refer to a specific episode when you learned how to swim for the first time. It's not like this. Implicit memory is not episodic and it's not related to consciousness or self. The main difference between implicit memory and explicit memory is the element of consciousness or ego or feeling self. Implicit memory is created very early, like 3 days after birth or maybe at birth. And the main difference between implicit memory and explicit memory, as mentioned, is the element of consciousness. It's not obvious that the consciousness is created first, and that's why the explicit memory is created out of implicit memory, or the change from or the development from implicit memory to explicit memory creates self or consciousness. The explicit memory is created at the age of 3 to 4 years old, and explicit memory has two main categories. One category is episodic memory, which is referring to a specific period in time and a specific episode, and semantic memory, which is more about word knowledge or general word knowledge and ideas, and it is developed later in life. So implicit memory is created, let's say, at birth. And at the age of 3 to 4 years old, explicit memory is created with consciousness or with feeling of self or ego or whatever you call it. And the reason toddlers are referring to themselves as a third person between the ages of 2 to 3 or 4 is they have implicit memory, but they don't have any explicit memory. They don't have any self or consciousness. And that's why they refer themselves as a third person. And hypnosis is a great platform to experience age regression. You can bring the subject back to the age of 2 or 3 years old when the implicit memory is created, when the brain is collecting a lot of information, but there is no explicit memory. There is no self or consciousness, or the selves are very primitive, and that's why we don't remember that period of time, because we don't have any episodic memory yet. So age regression through hypnosis is a great platform to explore that period of time between the age of 2 or 3 years old. And sometimes there are a lot of traumas during that period, but there is no capability to remember them. And when it comes to hypnotic age regression, one of the other interesting things is Babinski test. Babinski test or plantar reflex is like this. When there is a stimulus applied to the soul, in normal circumstances and in a normal person, the reflex is downward, like this. If the reflex is upward, it's a positive Babinski test, and it's a serious problem. It's a sign of a serious problem, like a brain tumor or an upper motor neuron disease. But for infants and toddlers and children before the age of 2, a positive Babinski test is normal because their nervous system is not developed yet and it's immature, and that's why up to the age of 2 years old you see positive Babinski test without any underlying abnormality. But after the age of 2, it becomes negative normally. But when you bring a subject back into the age of less than 2 years old through hypnotic age regression, their Babinski test becomes positive. And that's one of the most interesting things in hypnotic age regression. And nobody knows why it happens, because 99% of subjects, they don't know anything about Babinski test, but when you bring them back to the age of, let's say, 1 year old, the Babinski test becomes positive. There are some articles why it happens, but to be honest, I have not been convinced yet. There are some theories that because hypnosis is about generalized muscle relaxation, maybe that's why the Babinski test becomes positive, but I think it's not a strong explanation. For sure, there is a lot of room to explore more about Babinski test and age regression in hypnosis, and I hope I have been successful to make you interested to explore more. Thank you so much for listening, and have a good day. Bye.